We'll kick off the evening with our favorite part, which is celebrating our students of the month. Before we begin that process, I want to give everybody a few details on how we're going to proceed. We'll have Mr. David Dixon taking professional photos of each student as they receive their award. And then after all the students have been recognized, we will pause for a brief intermission, invite everyone and their families out to the lobby, and Mr. Dixon will take additional photos behind the screen of your student with all the folks here to celebrate with them. And we will invite the Virginia F. Wood Early Learning Center to start it off.
Good evening. I'm Marcy Dorado, the director of the Early Learning Center, and I am so pleased to announce Lena Rhodes to you. Lena is a hard worker. She's very friendly, and as you can tell, she has a smile that will melt your heart. These are the things that her teachers have to say about her. And I am joined by Mrs. Gaspard and Mrs. Reynolds. They are co-teachers in the classroom. They say, Lena brings kindness and total inclusion to our classroom every day. She is supportive and accepting of all students and celebrates the differences that make our classroom so special. Lena is an eager learner who helps create a welcoming space where everyone feels valued. She often reminds students in other classrooms how important it is to be a friend to everyone. We are proud of Lena for her empathy, leadership, growth, and the positivity she demonstrates every day. We are so happy to celebrate Lena as the ELC Student of the Month.
Congratulations, and next we invite Oak Trace.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Jane Hitch, the proud principal at Oak Trace, and I'm so excited to introduce you to Miss Fiona Line and her teacher, Miss Wilkes. Fiona is our Student of the Month this month, and everybody was so excited when we said that you were the Student of the Month. Your kindergarten teacher was even talking about you. She told me that when you were in kindergarten, she told you to be the President of the United States. She said we'd all be better because if she was the president. So remember that in a few years, Fiona Line for president. Your art teacher, Miss McClintock, talked about how eager you are, eager to learn and creative and willing to lend a hand to help others. We appreciate that. Our librarian, Mrs. Walker, shared how kind and sweet you are, that you love to read, and you help others look for books too. She said the reading world is a brighter place with Fiona in it. What a great thing to say. I love that. And Mrs. Griggs, your music teacher, said that you're a strong leader by always paying attention and doing the right thing. And Miss Wilkes right here talked about she's a true example of treat people right and do the right thing. She's been a leader since the first day of school. She always goes above and beyond the expectations. And she talks about how she's interested in the different academics that they're learning and tries to participate in all of that. So I love that. She's a true joy to be around every day. Can you give a round of applause to Miss Fiona Line?
Congratulations, Shamrock Springs.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Chris Parker, and I have the privilege of being the assistant principal at Shamrock Springs Elementary. Tonight, we get the true honor and pleasure of being able to celebrate Miss Hazel as our Shamrock Springs Student of the Month. And who better to brag on her tonight than her kindergarten teacher, Mrs. Sullivan.
My name is Leanne Sullivan. I am Hazel's kindergarten teacher. When Mr. Hedges asked if we had a kindergarten in the whole 6 classrooms, I immediately thought of Hazel. She goes above and beyond. She's one of those students where if you could bottle her up and put her in every classroom, I would. She's amazing. She's a superstar. I wrote a couple words for her. Hazel is a remarkable leader who demonstrates integrity, kindness, and empathy. She's a quiet leader. A lot of times we celebrate people who are outwardly spoken, really loud. She is super kind. She's very, very quiet, but yet you make everybody better, even at your table. One of the most things that is special about Hazel is that we do a lot of pom-poms in the classroom. I pass them out. It doesn't matter how many pom-poms I give, but she always wants to give them to other students. She'll kindly come up to me, Miss Sullivan, I think so-and-so's doing a good job. Can I pass them a pom-pom? She probably passes them out to everybody in the classroom if they're loud, if they're quiet, whoever's doing the right thing. She is definitely the pom-pom giver in our classroom. Hazel is intrinsically motivated. If we ask her to do one more thing, she'll write one more word, she'll add one more detail to her picture, and she always wants to do her best. I say Hazel loves reading. When she first came in, she was a little bit apprehensive. She has discovered her love of reading, and with a little bit of determination, she's conquered the CVC words, she's conquered all the digraphs. She is now a reader, which I am super proud to say. Earlier today, I was asking, Hazel, what do you want to be when you grow up? And she said, a movie director. And I say, the only thing I ask is if you make a movie, dedicate it to me. Sound good? Hazel is kind-hearted. She is the biggest bucket filler in our school. When I went around to some of the specials teacher, they said that she is a quiet leader, she does the right thing, and every time that we've had a substitute teacher in the classroom, her name is always on the leaderboard with the substitute teachers. Hazel, you are a joy in the class. I feel especially proud of you, and I want you to know that this is your night, okay?
Congratulations. Next, we invite Washington Woods.
Good evening. My name is Libby Bod. I am the principal at Washington Woods Elementary, and I am here this evening with Alice Small. She is a second grader at Washington Woods, and we are so proud to celebrate her tonight. We are joined here by her second grade teacher, Mrs. Mariquin, and Mrs. Oldham, who is one of her other teachers, and they both had some lovely things to say about you. Can I brag on you for a minute? Yeah. Yeah. Okay, let's do it. All right. Mrs. Mariquin shared that Alice has shown so much improvement this year. She listens carefully with whole body listening and great eye contact. Alice puts forth a lot of effort into her work. She has changed her mindset to, I can do this even if it's hard. Alice is using great reading strategies in her fluency and has improved tremendously. Alice, I'm so proud of all of your accomplishments. And then Mrs. Oldham shared, it has been a privilege watching Alice grow at Washington Woods the past 2 years. Her desire to learn is inspiring and is evident in her daily work. She has put forth so much effort in her reading, and she tells us that she actually likes to read now. I want to know your favorite books. You'll have to tell me later. All right. Alice's energy is infectious, as you can tell, and her smile can light up a room. She is so deserving of this award and couldn't be more proud of her. Help me in congratulating Alice and celebrating Alice.
Congratulations. Next, we invite Carrie Ridge.
Good evening. I'm Scott Chambers, principal at Cary Ridge. Have with me Jill McKinney, our counselor, and Sarah Gates. That's Alex's teacher in 4th grade. We are here to celebrate Alex Schinderly, and we are so proud that she is able to join us this month. She was actually chosen last month and wasn't feeling well, and so couldn't be here to receive her award. So we just are glad that I checked on her yesterday. I'm like, we're all good, you're all healthy. She said yes. So we have a few words that we're going to share about Alex. What a special person. We're so excited to recognize Alex as our Student of the Month. Alex is the kind of student who makes a classroom feel welcoming the moment she walks through the door. She greets each day with a smile and brings a warmth that lifts the people around her. Alex is known for her kind heart and the genuine way she cares for others. She treats her classmates with respect, includes others in many things that she does, and is always willing to lend a helping hand. She's the type of friend everyone hopes to have, supportive, thoughtful, and encouraging. Alex also stands out because of the effort she puts into her learning. She approaches her work with determination and doesn't shy away from challenges. When something feels difficult, Alex shows patience and persistence, continuing to try until she figures it out. She has grown in confidence this year and is learning to trust her own thinking. Another thing that makes Alex so special is the joy she brings to those around her. With her caring spirit, great sense of humor, and the thoughtful words that she gives, she has a way of brightening everyone's day. Alex truly brings out the best in the people around her. There's a quote that reminds us of Alex: "In a world where you can be anything, be kind." So Alex is an example of that every day. She shows us each day how powerful kindness, effort, and a positive attitude can be. And she helps to make Cary Ridge a better place simply by being herself. Let's recognize Alex Schinderly as Cary Ridge's Student of the Month.
Congratulations. And next we invite Maple Glen.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Tiffany Buzan, and I am the principal at Maple Glen. And I am thrilled to introduce to you our Student of the Month, Honor Nadima Fack. And I am joined up here with Mrs. Hopkins, his kindergarten teacher. And we have a few things to share with you from Mrs. Hopkins, but also some other staff members in the building. But one of the reasons that honor was chosen, at Cary Ridge we say we're going to do the right thing and we're going to treat people right. And so our related arts teachers shared that whenever honor is in any of their classrooms, that is the number one thing he does. He is kind to his classmates, he is positive, and he is helpful. Mrs. Hopkins has shared earlier in the week that Honor is a student who models all of our Maple Glen lifelines every day. He comes to school with a sense of joy, a strong work ethic, and empathy that is remarkable for a child his age. He steps up to help others without ever being asked, and when a classmate is sad, something's been spilled, or a teacher needs an extra hand, Honor is always right there to help in a moment's notice. He has been described as positive, kind, and has a smile that lights up the room. Mrs. Cole, the music teacher, said that Honor can be a little bit silly at times, but just in the right way. It makes him fun to be around. But my favorite part of this entire process is yesterday when Honor was getting on the bus. I yelled to him, I said, "Honor, tomorrow's your big night, are you ready?" And Mr. Mike, the bus driver, gets off the bus and he said, "What's going on?" I said, "Honor is Maple Glen Student of the Month." Mr. Mike was so proud, and he shared with me that Honor is one of the best students he's ever had. And then he posed him in front of the bus and took a picture. this is amazing, and said, I'm going to show all these other bus drivers that my student is the student of the month. And it was the sweetest thing. So we are so proud of Honor and his family to be here tonight. So congratulations, Honor.
Congratulations. We invite Monon Trail.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Jeremy Marvel, the principal at Monon Trail. I also have a guy with another great first name, Jeremy Luna here, and a third grade teacher at Monon Trail. And we're here to celebrate Emmy Bloxam as our student of the month. Emmy is a very kind, helpful, fun-loving gymnast who does amazing things in our third grade and across our whole building. I'm going to have Mr. Luna share all about that and what he sees in his classroom.
Thank you, and thank you for being here. As a long-term sub, I took over in January, and you don't really know what you're going to get into. You don't know any of the kids. You don't even know the routines and stuff. And immediately, Emmy started being somebody that was like, Mr. Luna, the art room is that way. Or Mr. Luna, the cafeteria is this way. She immediately took me under her wing, and I was like, man, this is great. Thank you. You know, what am I doing? What else am I doing wrong? You know, and she was great. Like, it was just amazing to have a little assistant that was there to help out. Then, as a team, we started talking about character trait of the month was collaboration. And when we started to pick a student of the month, it was clear that like collaboration is what we were going to focus on. And it was what she had done in the classroom since me being there, where there are students in the class that struggled to speak English. And she organically, it just like they were sitting next to her one day and they didn't know how to do some of the morning work. They were struggling with doing some of the readings. And Emmy just said, hey, can I help you? Hey, come sit next to me. I'll help you. Hey, your lunch, do you want pizza? And she was talking a little louder and slower like we all do, but she was really genuinely wanting to help, and it was amazing. And she just kept doing it and kept doing it. And it wasn't because I had asked her to, it was because it came from inside of her. And that was why she was our third grade student of the month. It was because collaboration, her heart, and just kind of the energy and the cool vibe that you always bring. Plus, we coordinated our outfits tonight. I don't know if you saw it. Okay, but there you go. Thank you.
Congratulations. Next, we invite the intermediate school.
Good evening. My name is Jen Hunt. I'm the assistant principal at Westfield Intermediate.
And I'm Susan Sadeh, and I'm with Abby Armstrong, and we are so lucky to have Sam with us every day. I have him for math, language arts, and social studies. Miss Armstrong has him for science, and when we were asked who do we want to pick, first person that I thought of was Sam. He's an absolute joy to have in the class. He is so solid in all the subject areas, but I think his best quality is his work ethic. When he does his writing, he's just really detailed and creative and cites it properly. In math, he really can think of pretty amazing computations. And on Alex, what grade are you doing right now? Yeah, we're 5th grade, and he's on 8th grade Alex. Yeah, and so a lot of the kids, if they get a little bit beyond what we've done, they just know to go to Sam to ask for a little bit of extra support. And I love watching him out at recess. He's an aggressive basketball player. All the kids really enjoy being around him, and he just has such a great attitude. I know when I come back, if I've been at a district meeting and there's been a sub there, I know that Sam can kind of like run the class. He knows exactly what's going on, and the kids just love being around him, and we're so lucky to have him. So, Sam Feller.
Congratulations. Next, Westfield Middle School.
Good evening. I am Sarah Havens, Assistant Principal at Westfield Middle School, and I want to introduce 8th grader Tiago Robinson. About a year ago, exactly, one of Tiago's teachers stood at the frame of my door ready to talk to me about an amazing young man who is ready to take on some new challenges, both socially and academically. But Tiago's teachers captured him best, sharing the following statements. Mr. Kennedy, his science teacher, shared Tiago always comes to class with a great attitude. He is kind to his peers and always polite to his teachers. He is a hard worker and shows his determination to learn in class every day. Mrs. Bozier shared that Tiago is kind and engaging young man. He always gets along well with various personalities that comprise our third period classroom. I enjoy seeing his face light up when he can talk about soccer. Tiago can be counted on to do the right thing when peers may be tempted to stray expectations, and he's a great kiddo. Mrs. Craver shared Tiago was challenged this year with high expectations and rose to every occasion. He learned to advocate for his needs and demonstrated his desire to be a strong learner. He has worked hard to set himself up for success at Westfield High School. There are many more amazing statements in this folder about his determination and his grit. We are very proud of the hard work and dedication that he has put into his 8th grade year, and we can't wait to hear about the amazing things he does at Westfield High School. Congratulations, Tiago, on being named Westfield's Middle School Student of the Month.
Congratulations, and now Westfield High School.
Good evening. My name is Alicia Deniston. I am the principal at Westfield High School, and I am very excited to present to you this evening Caitlin, or as most of us call you, Katie Bolduc. She is a senior this year, and she has really been a standout from the start at Westfield High School. When you're approaching 3,200 students and you think, okay, who is going to be the recipient of this? To be one of those first faces that so many staff members think of is truly an honor. And I am just so grateful for the positive impact you've had on all of our students, but also on our staff. You've really left that legacy, and I hope you'll feel very proud of that. I always like to give you a little heads up about what are some plans post high school. It sounds like Ohio State may be the fortunate recipient of you, but you still have to make that final decision. Is that correct? Okay, and she will be majoring in public policy analysis and is going to pursue law school as well, focusing on constitutional law, and is very interested in the civil rights and nonprofit sector, which did not surprise me based on a lot of the feedback that staff members gave me about you. She has been involved in many ways over the course of her 4 years at Westfield High School: marching band, indoor percussion, speech and debate, mock trial, Indiana Legislative Youth Advisory Council, and NHS. And I really like what you wrote when I asked you what are you most proud of, so I'm gonna share that with them as well. She talks about qualifying for the national speech and debate competition for 2 years in a row. I remember prepping for weeks in preparation. The best part was that I was qualifying alongside the best friends I have ever had. Being able to spend a week in Des Moines with them and my amazing coaches felt really like a culmination of everything I'd accomplished in high school. And making it to national speech and debate, That is no minor feat. So that's huge. I'm going to share, there's a lot that staff members have said, Katie, but I'm going to share just a few words that I think really describe you well. One is from your school counselor, Mrs. Vonderstar. She says, Katie is a total standout on a myriad of levels, whether it is regarding academics, which over a 4.4 GPA, by the way. Extracurricular accomplishments are solely based on her character. She is extremely humble and a quiet force to be reckoned with. She's going to be a world changer. Your speech and debate coach, Mrs. Reineking, says, Katie is our debate captain for the speech and debate team. She sets a strong example for others. She works hard to refine her skills, and she possesses a deep desire to do good in the world. And then Assistant Principal Mr. Frederick says this about you. Katie's passion, charisma, humor, and unwavering commitment to excellence infuse all of her endeavors. I want to specifically thank Katie for reinvigorating the mock trial team at WHS and growing into a mature and inspiring leader along the way. I learned through firsthand experience that what set Katie apart as a competitor was not only her intelligence and ambition, but also the empathy and collaborative spirit she paired with them. She listened, uplifted others, brought out their best, and created an environment where excellence felt both possible and shared. He says, way to go, Katie. So these are just a few things. I have a little inscription in one of my favorite books that I'm going to give you, but I just am so proud of you and can't wait to see how you finish at Westfield High School and then what the future holds for you. So let's congratulate Katie Bolduc.
Congratulations to all of our March Student of the Month. Before we have our brief intermission, we do want to have another special presentation, and for that I will turn it over to Mr. Mike Steele.
Tonight we'd like to recognize a high achievement that doesn't, I guess this is the first time it's ever happened at Westfield. As a junior high coach and assistant coach at the high school for over 30 years, this is the first time it's ever happened, knowing the history of Westfield. We had an outstanding season for the Westfield wrestling team. The team finished 15-5. They won sectionals, finished regional runner-up, and placed 7th in the state. We also want to recognize Connor Maddox, who had a remarkable season as only a sophomore, is 34-0, and becoming Westfield High School's first ever state champion. Connor is also ranked 4th in the nation. This year, at 113 pounds, he won the Central Grove Championship, which is a Westfield first. He won the Al Smith Championship this year, which is up in the region, which is Westfield's 2nd and 3rd. He won the Carham Champion, which is Westfield's 1st. He won the Ironman Championship, which is an invitation only as individuals and as a team. It's a national tournament. He was Westfield's 1st, and Indiana's only 2nd person to win that tournament. Also this year, he went, like I said before, 34-0, and he was a state champion, Westfield's 1st in wrestling. Connor, if you don't mind coming on down, Coach Griffin, Coach Byers. Dr. Atha, if you don't mind helping me hand out. I'm going to turn over to my coaching voice a little bit. But this will go to the high school for them, Tom, if you don't mind, to use. And Tom and I used to coach way back in the day against each other too. But this can go up in the wrestling room. And we got one for you individually. Mr. Maddox, congratulations. Mr. Byers, you can't let me out talking. Thank you.
signs if you ever want anything. That's what she does. She has our signs. She does all my prints.
Excellent. Congratulations, Connor, and to the rest of the Westfield wrestling team. So at this point in our meeting, we will dismiss everyone for a brief intermission. If you want to join the business portion of our meeting, please come back in 15 minutes. All right, good evening, everyone. We are about to start the business portion of our meeting. I do want to highlight items for public comment on the agenda tonight. And since we do have comments, I will review the procedures for speaking to the Board of Trustees in our meeting. So first, anyone wishing to make a comment must fill out a card, which I have, they were supposed to fill out a card 5 minutes prior to the start of the meeting. And we appreciate those who did that. The public comments are limited to the items on the agenda, so appreciate everyone staying on the topic. And each commenter is allowed 2 minutes to speak. The total allowed for commenting is 30 minutes in total. And then in the event of time constraints, the Westfield priorities given to parents, students, staff, and residents of Westfield. If anyone wishes to make a comment about something not on the agenda, we ask that you please email the board. And so tonight's items for public comment are the consent agenda and the academic calendars regarding trimesters. So with that, the first item of business is our consent agenda. And the consent agenda includes the board minutes, accounts payable vouchers, payroll vouchers, personnel reports, overnight and out-of-state field trips, and routine contract renewals. All items in the consent agenda have been reviewed by the board in advance of the meeting and are, we give the public comment first. Thank you. All right, we rarely have public comment. I'm sorry. My first meeting with public comment. I apologize. I'm going to move back to public comment, and I am going to invite Mr. Lance Grubb to the podium, please. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Lance. Next, we have Mr. Schaaf.
I just wanted to mention and speak to the consideration of the academic calendar changes that might come. As a big organization, I've lived in Westfield since 1998. My family moved here very specifically because of the school district. My kids have known only Westfield schools. I work in Westfield schools. The truth is, our house was built here because we wanted to live in Westfield schools. I think this is an exceptional place to live. I think this is an exceptional place to work. I'm proud that my children go here. But we don't look the same as we certainly did 30 years ago. And that means that sometimes things have to change. And I just wanted to share publicly that the one thing I know doesn't change is the following. I trust that our district hires the very best people they can to do what's best for kids. That doesn't change. Other things around us might change, but all of us, I would just ask that we consider that change is actually an opportunity. Like, change can be exciting. Like, this is the moment where it's not just about necessarily restructuring. It can be about rethinking, maybe reinventing. That's how organizations, our size especially, as organizations get bigger, the opportunity to change is also an opportunity to rethink yourself, and that's how you stay at the cutting edge. And in the end, I really think that's what our community wants. Like, what makes our community stronger is what makes our school district even better. I trust the board to make the decisions that will help us do that. I trust the professionals that we've hired to make us do that, our central office staff and leadership. So as a teacher, as a community member, as a parent. I even tell my freshman son, things might change, but change is an opportunity. You don't really know what you can do until you try something, especially something new. Thanks for giving me the chance to talk.
All right, thank you both for speaking, and thank you, Dr. Atha, for reminding me to let them speak. So now we will move to the consent agenda. I will just repeat to make sure that we don't miss anything. The consent agenda itself includes board minutes, accounts payable vouchers, payroll vouchers, personnel reports, overnight and out-of-state field trips, and routine contract renewals. All items in the consent agenda have been reviewed by the board in advance of the meeting and are approved in a single motion. So at this time, I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
So moved.
Thank you, Bill. Do I have a second? Thank you, Carrie. It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion or questions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
It's unanimous. And at this moment, I would like to hand it over to Mr. Chris Baldwin for a special announcement.
Thank you, Madam President, members of the board. We have a couple exciting announcements that you just approved in personnel this evening. First of all, with the retirement of Marcy Dorado as the director of our Early Learning Center. Marcy's been here for many, many years in many positions, but started our Early Learning Center, has done a wonderful job, and we thank her for her service. But with that, we'd like to congratulate Kaylee Dickin as the new director of the Early Learning Center. Kaylee has been our assistant director since 2022 and has done a wonderful job and will continue to do a wonderful job as our new director. So, Kaylee, anything you'd like to address or say to everybody?
Just thank you. I'm so blessed to have family and friends from work here today supporting me. And I've been blessed to be mentored by Marcy, and we plan to continue with the vision that she has opened with our building, and we're excited to keep moving forward.
Thank you. Congratulations. Also, another exciting announcement. It's always a unique time and really exciting to announce somebody as their first administrative position. We'd like to introduce Hannah Agert as the new assistant principal at Cary Ridge Elementary School. So congratulations, Hannah. Hannah has been a longtime teacher at Oak Trace for us, also the head soccer coach, and has done some internships, also running our summer school internship, and had some administrative experience. So we are excited to have Hannah as part of the team at Cary Ridge. So Hannah, it's all yours.
I'm really excited to get started at Cary. I got to meet the staff today, and I'm really excited to continue to get to know them and work with them. My husband and I, we live here in Westfield, so I'm excited to continue to work in a community that we love. I'm really excited to partner with the families and get to know the students and the staff even more. And I appreciate my Oak Trace people that came to support me tonight, and I'm really excited to get started. So thank you guys.
Congratulations.
Thank you, Dr. Baldwin. Now we will move to the business and operations portion of our meeting. First with our construction update. So each month we look forward to hearing construction updates from our partners and share the progress of the projects across the district. And this evening we welcome 3 construction managers. And first we will start with Scott Wells with Garmon.
Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to present tonight on Midland and Shamrock Springs Elementary Schools. We'll be covering project progress, the look-ahead schedule, and also the contingency logs for both projects. We'll start with Midland Crossing. Just some drone photography here. This is what the site looked like back in January. As you can see, we're fighting the winter weather conditions there. And then these photos were taken last week. So just some things to note. This is Midland. The exterior masonry is complete on this project, and we're still working on a few other exterior items. That would be the roofing coping, the exterior insulation finish system, and the metal wall panels. The metal wall panels is a really long lead time, so they just got delivered, and we just started that work last week. Just some more drone photos, different angles. So some interior photos of the project. The one on the left here, that is the main entry to the school. So on the left side, as you're walking down the hallway, on the left side would be the cafeteria, kitchen, and if you travel down the hallway, the gymnasium would be on the left, and then on the right is the main media center. This photo is of some of the finished bathrooms in one of the education wings, and this is the gymnasium. You can see some material laying on the floor. That's actually the basketball goals. We're getting ready to start installing those. These first two pictures are of the media center from the first floor and from the second floor. And then this picture is up in one of our education wings. As you can see, we're touching up drywall and getting ready to start the flooring up there. This is in area E, which is in the another bathroom. And then again, this is the gymnasium. The only thing, we have a little bit of drywall finishing to go, this above the stage, and then our elevator fronts, and that's really all the drywall finishing that we have left on the job site. This is the art room. So just to remind everybody, just want to go through our sequence of construction. This is area E and F, and then D, B, A, and C. So our workflow goes from D2 to B2 down to C, and then E and F will happen concurrently with A. So about the project, framing's complete, drywall's complete. We're working on drywall finishing, just have a little bit left. Painting is following that, and then obviously the interior metal stud or mechanical, plumbing, and electrical, all the in-wall rough-in is complete. Overhead rough-in's about 90% complete. And then we'll be finishing our grid and dropping our ceiling tile. So we're getting pretty far along on finishings. Resinous floor, 90% complete. And then we're going through all of our testing for the water service. And then getting ready to start all the resilient flooring. So looking ahead, ceiling tile, remainder of the resilient flooring. And then outside, the exterior insulation finish system. And then we have started site grading, and we've started our site concrete as well. When all of that is done, we'll be doing our landscaping and then our playground this spring and early summer, and then our final layer of asphalt. So for Midland, our contingency amount, the job started at $1.9 million. We've currently spent to date $477,000 for a new balance of $1.4 million. For Shamrock Springs, again, back in January, fighting the weather. So for March, this is area E on Shamrock Springs. We started our brick right here, and we've worked around the building. This is the gymnasium, and the brick is actually through this courtyard area, and this is area D. The brick is finished to this point right here, and then we are currently working right here in this elevation. This is B, and we'll just continue to work around the building until the brick is complete. Some interior photos for Shamrock. Basically, to sum it up, we're working on interior framing. Most of the project is framed. We're currently working on bulkheads and ceiling framing now, and then we're working on topping out. We're working out topping out the drywall in all the areas that we can. Just some more interior photos, working on above ceiling rough-in. And this is the media center. As you can see, we're starting to frame the columns and frame the bulkheads there. This is area E, more above ceiling framing and then interior framing. So on this job, basically we are working on mechanical, plumbing, and electrical above the ceiling and in the walls everywhere. And that's going to continue for quite some time. On the outside, we're going to continue with the brick and also the exterior insulation finish system. We are working on the exterior utilities as well. But so really, as weather permits, we'll be finishing up the exterior and then continuing to work on the rough end so we can get ready to hang drywall. For Shamrock, the contract contingency is $1.9 million. We spent $326 to date for a new balance of $1.6. Any questions? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And now we'll invite Jerry Rolfson with Performance Services to the podium.
Thank you, Madam President. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the board. I'm happy to be here to give you an update on the work that we are undertaking at Cool Creek Elementary School, to be Cool Creek Elementary School, and Westfield Middle School. So first, I'll start with Cool Creek. That's really where we're concentrating our efforts right now. And as you know, we're working on phase 1, specifically on the special ed or the mosaics and categorical classrooms and suite that is there at the center of the building. We, of course, completed the media center here after Christmas, and that area is now occupied. A few shots here. We're really nearing completion of this area. In fact, the intent is that we'll turn it over spring break or shortly thereafter, because that area will need to be occupied as we transition into the next phase of work. So here are some progress shots that just show you it's really finishes work at this point that we're working on. A couple of the classrooms, and you can see the various different states of where finishes are. A restroom, one of 2 restrooms that's in that area, occupational physical therapy room. And then on the outside of the building, we've been doing roofing work. Of course, over the winter that slowed down. We're getting ready to ramp that back up. The portion that's been completed at Cool Creek is the area over the gymnasium. And then the remainder, there you can see the hatched areas, are work that will begin here, moving basically from the gymnasium area, kind of in a counterclockwise area around the building as we're able to. What can we expect at Cool Creek over the next 30 days? Well, we're going to complete, essentially we're going to complete all the work. Our casework gets delivered next week for our casework installs, and we'll complete with all the finishes. We'll do our substantial completion review. As you probably hear the term punch list, we'll be doing that here in a couple of weeks towards the end of the month. And then we'll use the spring break period to complete our work after those reviews are completed, and it'll be ready for occupancy. What are we going to start in terms of site work? One of the first things we need to do is remove the old pump house for the Citizens Water Pump House. It's at the southwest portion of the site. That area, that needs to be brought down because we're going to be increasing parking and driveways in that area, so that'll be the first thing we do. And then we'll begin underground stormwater detention, basically excavation and piping there just to the north of the building, just to the west of the bus parking lot. Westfield Middle School construction progress really is limited right now. We're just completing some roofing work, some coping around the building. We really don't have anything going on inside the building. We're really just about ready to ramp up work in the middle school as well here as the year ends and especially over the summer. So the next 30 days, we'll do some work beginning in the locker rooms as some of the athletes will be vacating some of those areas. We're able to get in and do some of the renovations in the locker room area, and we'll be completing metal coping work around the portions of the roof that have been completed that were shaded in green on the prior slide. So the next 30 days really going to transition. Things are going to really start ramping up. In fact, there's going to be a really huge transformation take place over the course of the summer. Before the fall, there'll be a lot of site work done as we work around the intermediate school to convert it to Cool Creek Elementary School, which involves playground. And I'll have an update next month for you that shares kind of all the intense work that we'll be doing around the building on the outside. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Questions? Next, we invite Matt Grossman with Meyer Najum.
Good evening, members of the board. Appreciate the opportunity to give our update here tonight. So we'll start with Westfield Transportation. Work completed to date since our last update. The sanitary lateral layout and prep work has started, so that will be the line going from the new main along Town Road up to the building. We've completed the interior and exterior punch list of the building itself. Metronet installation from State Road 32 up along Town Road is complete. Fun fact, as you can see here in the pictures, with the buses there now parked under the canopy, they got some of those over there, but there are 180 spots for the buses, with future room and expansion for another 93 more buses. On this project, the contingency usage is right around 57% of the 1.1 million that we started with. The top right picture is the office workroom for the staff up front. The bottom right picture is the public entry and the check-in counter. And as I mentioned, the bottom left picture are some of the buses that are currently stored over there under the new canopies. This is one of our recent drone pictures from the last snow event we had a Monday or two ago. As you can see, I want to point over here. This is the public parking lot out in front. The south parking lot will be for the staff and the bus drivers to park for their own entry. And then as you come up Town Road, the service bay entrance will be from the north end of the project. And then tucked here in the back is the new fueling canopy and station. Just another drone photo from the south elevation. Again, this is the south parking lot I just mentioned for the staff and bus driver parking, their own private entrance, and then you start to see the bus canopies there on the west side. And, oops, sorry, wrong direction. And then here's the west elevation. On the southwest corner of the parking lot is the drive that will connect to the new drive that goes to the middle school. Each busing island there holds 60 buses, so 3 gets you your 180. As you can see, there's some of the vehicles stored over there already. And then again, you have access to the service bays from both sides of the building. And that last door on the north elevation is your wash bay. What we have coming up in the next 60 days, start and complete the sanitary lateral installation from the new main. We actually started some layout and staking of that here this week. Once that is completed, we'll be able to roll into the water lateral installation and the meter pit out in front. And I'll provide a little bit more update on those utilities when we get to the Town Road project. We'll install the remainder of the asphalt top coat once the weather breaks and get the temperatures needed. And we will then follow up with the site work punch list inspection and finalizing the remaining landscaping that is needed to be done around the building. The left picture is the new wash bay for the buses and any of the other vehicles to go through. The top right picture is a snapshot of the service bays, and then the mezzanine in the background for your storage. And the bottom right picture is currently without the dividers closed, it's the large training room, and that can be broken down into 3 individual rooms. Town Road and Citizens, the Westfield Utilities Project, work completed to date. There's been a lot of progress here. The new sanitary main installation is complete. Testing has been completed, and we're now working through the tedious Citizens final approval process. We're down to 2 or 3 little items, and then that's why we're allowed to start the lateral layout with anticipation, be able to start that hopefully next week on the lateral to the building. The water line installation, the new water line from Ditch Road, the 36-inch main is complete. So they have water on the line now from Ditch all the way down to our Newtown Road and up to the transportation facility. So they're going through the flushing and cleaning process and pressure testing with citizens' oversight on that. So that is underway, and that is good news. The installation of the 3-inch water main through Eagletown plus the hydrant serving that location has been completed. I mentioned the testing, and then we were able to separate the sequence of work. So we have now started the main going from Town Road over to the middle school. We probably have about 2 to 3 weeks left on that, weather dependent. The drainage ditch and pond work, the Hamilton County Surveyor Office has approved the structure at the outflow from the pond to Little Eagle Creek. And then we are now scheduling with the city of Westfield to come out and survey and give approval on the pond itself, and then the new drainage ditches and the box culvert under Town Road. Contingency usage is still 0 on that. And as I reported at our last update, the contingency actually increased because there was a credit of the stone base for Town Road since we were able to lime stabilize that subgrade with approval from the city of Westfield. That picture there is a shot of the utility work. It's a little dark, but that's in Eagletown with a piece of equipment hauling one of the large 36-inch pieces of water pipe. So I'm sure a lot of people are glad we're done with that, with all the lane closures we've had to have during the installation of that. Town Road, next 60 days, as I mentioned, receive citizens' final approval on both systems. We would look to complete the water line installation to Centennial, as I mentioned, over to the middle school. Metronet is getting scheduled to complete their bore from Ditch Road over to town and get that installation installed, and then we'll have internet live in the building. The traffic signal installation at the new intersection at State Road 32 and Town Road will get installed, and as I mentioned, just like up at the transportation facility, as the weather breaks, we'll finish the asphalt top coat along State Road 32 for the additional turn lane that we installed there. And then here's another picture of the installation of the 36-inch water line. This is at the tie-in location that we had to bore under Little Eagle Creek. This is, again, overview from just a couple weeks ago. This is the drainage pond that serves the whole Centennial campus. And then there's the outflow that Hampton County approved. And then you can kind of see here with our snow, the ditch here to the south, and there's the one here to the north. Then obviously the picture on the left is the new Town Road. The box culvert is here that we're waiting on inspection on with the drainage ditch, and we were able also to tie in the existing drainage from the farm fields up north to not impact them. The Westfield Operations Building, which is over at the existing transportation, completed work at the new warehouse. Certificate of occupancy has been received. Interior punch list inspection and completion of those work items is ongoing. The school district and Luke and his staff have moved materials in now, so they're utilizing the building for storage. And the contingency on that project is used roughly 40% of the $434,000. My picture kind of overlapped my notes there, but work in the next 60 days as the weather allows. We'll wrap up the site work around the building, the dirt work as the mud and frozen grounds go away. But the bottom left picture is the new workroom. That'll have benches in it, workshop, wood shop, stuff like that. Then the right picture is the shot of the interior of the warehouse looking to the east direction. And this is the drone photo of the campus overall, just to give everyone kind of the lay of the land with the warehouse here being on the eastern part of the existing bus lot. It did take out one of the current rows. And then once the existing transportation facility is complete and all the buses and staff are moved over, we will then start on the addition here on the front of the building for the new operations offices. And that concludes my update. Any questions?
Are there the buses that are out there right now? Are they the ones that we use? Day in, day out?
I
or-
believe those are some, I don't want to call them the extra buses, those are some of the buses that Larry and Bob and his staff have, don't use on a daily basis. So they park those over there out of the way. Plus, there's 2 of the fire apparatus parked over there.
I saw that.
Yeah,
If you need them moved, let me know.
yeah, will do. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Matt. All right, we thank our construction partners for the update, and now we'll hear from Director of Construction, Mr. Brian Kelly.
Good evening, members of the board. I just want to say we're really fortunate to have the companies that we have working for us. They are all doing an exceptional job on the projects that they're working on. And a special shout out to really Myron Agem. I don't know of too many school systems that put in an infrastructure system like that water line. Not too many schools run 36-inch water lines or try to get major water lines underneath an active creek, Little Eagle Creek. And I think Matt told me at one point there's only one company, came out of California, that can do that. But the coordination to get that accomplished was just phenomenal. So we were really, really fortunate. And again, like I said, with all of our companies, we're really fortunate with who we've got. I'm reporting for Hagerman Construction tonight. And just as you've seen with the other projects kind of coming out of the winter months and into a little bit better weather, some site work is starting to speed up. And that's exactly what the first 2 pictures on this project show. This is that connector road that connects the transportation site to the new middle school. The sidewalk is being installed on that. So that's going to become more of a viable alleyway now that they're able to get work on that area. We did receive the transformer, so we have power. Transformer is installed and hooked up. So that's a big milestone to actually have the site powered by the transformers. The last of the geothermal lines are being installed, and what you're seeing there in the picture on the right are the lateral lines. The wells are dug, but now we're bringing all the lateral piping into the building from all the 400 plus wells that are dug on that site. And just like on the other projects, now with the weather improving, we can get going on the roofing. This project, the phase or the sequence of work on this project is from west to east. The west side of this building, and I didn't put up a floor plan, but the west side of the building is the classroom, administration, education portion. The east portion, or east side of the building, is where we get the larger spaces, the cafeterias, music rooms, gymnasiums, auditoriums, those kind of spaces. So we're working from west to east on this, and you can see the TPO membrane roof being installed on different portions of the building. Excuse me. Classroom spaces, again, on the the west side of the building are furthest along, and that's where you're seeing some of the storefront windows. If you look close on the picture on the right, you can see ceiling grid being installed, which that tells us the overhead rough ends are complete now that they can start putting ceiling grid in. So they'll just continue that from the west side to the east side of the building. Just some other pictures throughout the building of just various stages of completion with drywall finishing. Drywall, going in. You can see picture on the left. They have not started any of the painting yet. Where the picture on the right is another quarter where they've got the first prime coat of paint installed. And again, you'll see ceiling grids in various parts where the overhead rough ends are complete. More on the east side of the building, gymnasium, the picture on the left and the right, I believe, are both the gymnasium. So you can see we're finishing up more masonry work, starting the overhead mechanical rough ends in some of those spaces, some of those areas. One of those is the auditoriums, and I believe it's the picture on the right. But the progress in this area is going to start picking up now that the weather's better. Housekeeping pads for mechanical equipment. The last of that is taking place on again, on the east side of this portion. This is the last mechanical room that has an air handling system in it. All of the major HVAC equipment is on site. Probably 50-60% of it is currently installed. So this portion of the building is the last part, and you can kind of see the picture on the right. All the large heat pump supply air ductwork. So that's a mechanical room on the other side of that wall. But as they work towards the east side of the building, they're finishing up the last of the mechanical spaces. And this is one of the restrooms right off the kitchen, I'm sorry. So you'll see a lot of half walls where the plumbing, piping for plumbing fixtures, for kitchen equipment. So framing on this part of the building is probably at about 50% complete, maybe a little bit more than that. But this project, from an overall schedule standpoint, is ahead of schedule. We're looking for an August 2027 opening. That's our deadline that we set for this project. We are ahead of that. Just how much we're ahead of that, not too sure yet. Don't want to make a commitment. But this project will not have any issues making the opening schedule of August 2027. So overall, we're about 60% complete. The contingency utilization is at 11%, and that represents $874,000 of $7.7 million. The allowance utilization on this, we had an allowance total of $1.49 million. There were roughly, I want to say, 10 to 12 allowances that we identified early on in this project, and we've used about $100,000 of that so far, representing 6.7%, which is actually a really, really good number. Most of our allowance is always lime stabilization. We know in Westfield, soil here is terrible. With where we are on this project, we've used a very small portion of that, so we're fortunate on this project to not have to stabilize as much as we have on other projects. Any questions? Thank you for your time.
Thank you, looking good.
Thank you so much, Brian, and thanks again to all of our construction partners for being here tonight and providing us updates. The next item on business and operations will turn over to Dr. Hunt to provide an update from the Indiana General Assembly.
Thank you, Madam President, members of the board. This evening, I don't have an action item, but I do want to bring forth an update as far as the Indiana General Assembly, which on Friday, February the 27th, about 6:30 p.m., it did adjourn and sine die. So that was the end of the 2026 legislative session. It is a short session, and so with a short session, the budget is not open at that time. So as far as the business and finance portions of the General Assembly, it's pretty limited. However, this evening I do want to speak and go over the review of three bills, which is House Bill 1210, House Bill 1242, and House Bill 1266. In House Bill 1210, which is also known as the Department of Local Government Finance Bill, HB 1210 is the loan bill that addresses the fiscal issues for schools stemming from the passage of Senate Enrolled Act 1, so it's important to really understand this. The first of this is it moves the effective date for the local income tax changes enacted in Senate Enrolled Act 1 from 2028 to 2029. But one thing to note is that Westfield, Washington schools do not receive lit or that local income tax. And so in this particular bill, that's not affecting our school district. It allows schools to deposit excess tax revenue into any fund maintained by the taxing unit and to spend those dollars for any purpose allowed by law. And so that is important because it was limiting at first the fact that they would only put it into the operations fund. And so they designated those excise taxes only to go into operations. That does allow us to use those excise dollars in the debt service fund if need be. And so again, it limited just the operations, but it just gave us some leeway if we need to do so and to move those dollars into that debt service fund. Allows school corporations to lose more than 60% of their operations fund levy due to a combination of the circuit breaker credits and the new 10% or $300 homestead credit instituted by Senate Enrolled Act 1 to refund their bonds and extend the repayment period. Once again, we do not necessarily qualify for this, or we don't qualify because we don't reach that 60%. However, just for note, we are affected about 40.5% of our operations fund is affected by that circuit breaker, and also those no homestead credits instituted by Senate Enrolled Act 1. So again, one of those things to really keep in mind. In 2026 only, so this particular year, we obviously have not received our tax revenue, but we do have and allowed to choose whether to spread the losses from the new 10% or the $300 credit proportionally among the property tax funds. We do have to let the Department of Local Government Finance know by May the 15th if that is something that we are entertaining or wanting to move forward with. We're still investigating that. We have not made that determination whether or not that's going to happen. But again, we are have that opportunity, and if that is indeed the case, we need to let Department of Local Government Finance know by May the 15th. Requires school corporation that hires or retains a municipal advisor to publish the contract in a prominent location on its website. This portion of the bill, like the language on protected tax, changed on the last day of the session in conference committee. In the bill, a municipal advisor, just for reference sake, is defined as the following: a person who is not an employee of the municipal entity who provides advice to or on behalf of a municipal entity or obligated person concerning financial issues, including advice related to municipal financial products or the issuance of municipal securities, including with respect to structure, timing, and terms, or budgeting and long-term financial planning, or undertakes a solicitation of municipal entity or obligated person. And so earlier in that language in House Bill 1210, there would have been a requirement that these types of advisor to be licensed and would have required schools to engage in competitive process every 3 years before contracting with municipal advisor, or this language did change quite a bit at the last minute, like I had mentioned earlier. So as I was following this bill and paying close attention to this, because of the use of the advisors that we do with regards to our issuing of bonds, that did change at again, the last minute or that last day. And so we need to adhere to those changes and make sure that we're following what the law requires. Then their House Bill 1242 requires Indiana Department of Education to create a report on multiple different financial and academic progress and aspects to public schools in the state of Indiana, with the goal of making recommendations to increase administrative efficiencies, reduce administrative costs, and improve student outcomes. It also contains language, the Indiana Department of Local Government Finance to work in conjunction with the Department of Education to study operations fund revenue disparities on a per student basis across the state. This is important to understand because as a growing district, when our operations fund's not keeping up with, again, the growth of the district, there is obviously a decrease in a per pupil funding that we are experiencing. So the study that's being done, and hopefully, again, it limits that impact and, again, tries to make things as neutral as possible. So, and the last bill was House Bill 1266, which permits schools to use TAG funds to pay for FICA and TURF, or teacher retirement fund, and the count expenditures for interlocal cooperatives toward meeting the funding floor requirement. Both of these provisions are effective upon passage. And so, again, importantly to understand, because that was one of the confusions that when the teacher appreciation grant was first introduced, we were not for sure if we could actually use our teacher appreciation grant funds in which to cover teacher retirement funds as well as FICA. So, any questions? I know I went through those three bills rather quickly, but again, it's really important to understand the impacts that some of these bills will have on school finance and school funding, but I'll entertain any questions that you may have at this time.
I've had many conversations about all these things, but thank you for sticking with them because we continually have to talk about them. And this year seemed like there was more changes maybe than previous years.
In the short session,
Yeah.
yes. You know, we can count on that in the longer session when you open up the budget or the biennium budget, and those are things that are constantly moving. But I think for a short session, there were certainly some impacts. And I do believe that some of these bills that were introduced was because of the impact and the seen impact of Senate Enrolled Act 1.
And then I hadn't caught this before tonight, so we need to issue an RFP every 3 years for our advisors?
We don't have to issue an RFP every 3 years. That's
Okay.
what changed. It was
That
going
did-
to, yes, it was
okay.
going to
All right.
be, but we do have to publish that on a website, the
Okay.
contracts.
All right, that makes sense.
Yeah.
All right.
I do want to add, not so much under the finance piece, that Senate Bill 78, which now is Senate Enrolled Act 78 because the governor signed it, which is the new bell-to-bell wireless communication device law.
Mhm.
Beginning this July 1, we have to adopt a policy and take one of two approaches. And we either have to have no device allowed on students at all, they have to be left at home, or a storage policy where devices can be brought to school but must be stored away, powered off, and inaccessible during the entire day. So that's how the law reads, one of those two policies that has to be adopted. We'll work through that with our legal and unpack that, but obviously we've already had a conversation on Monday with our teachers about what that looks like. I think everyone's still trying to figure it out a little bit. There are very few exceptions there, you know, if there's a medical or special education need. But so we'll need to figure out which way we want to go.
So I assume the supers all get together in Hamilton County, maybe come up with a plan to be consistent across the county at least, or not?
Actually, I told Chris Luter to check with all the teachers and see what their ideas
Even
were.
better, yeah, it's a better idea. Okay.
The one thing I can tell you is we get very few kiddos in this facility during the school day, so it's probably better to talk to the ones out in the schools about what's the best way to manage that, especially at our middle school and high schools. What I'm told is we've tried to, well, the law was not having it out during instructional time. I think through middle school, we tried to kind of have a bell-to-bell approach, and it has been difficult to manage that, you know, with the kiddos who want to check their phones and want to be connected. So I'm not saying this is at all bad legislation. I'm just trying to wrap my brain around how we're going to implement it effectively and not put the pressure on our teachers. Like, that doesn't seem fair to me. So unless there's, you know, a class that you took around that in college, I don't think you did, right? Like how to do that. So, but again, we'll figure it out. We have very talented educators in this district, and it's an opportunity to look at it from a different lens.
All right, thank you both for those updates. That concludes the business operations portion, and we'll move to the curriculum. And at this time, I will hand it over to Dr. Ryan Hoover to present the academic calendar semester item.
Thank you, Madam President, members of the board. I'm here today to talk to you about a motion that's going to be asking you to approve the academic calendar that's structured for all schools as semesters beginning in the 27-28 school year. In short, and there's going to be a presentation here by Principal Dennison in just a few minutes, but just a little background. As you know, Westfield High School has continued to grow over from about 2,400 students to over 3,200 students here in the last 7 years. This sustained growth has required us to be thoughtful in how we structure the high school experience while continuing to provide strong academic opportunities, while also maximizing our facilities and resources. Additionally, in just the last few years, there's been additional parameters and also variables that we have had to kind of weigh in. So including everything from the new diploma that has been enacted. Our current freshmen are currently doing the first year of that. The new accountability plan that we have shared that just recently was approved, and we are currently in year 0, but we will begin that process starting in the school year, upcoming school years as well. Just to how credits are going to be earned at the middle school level in addition to high school. So all of those factors are just some of the variables. In addition to, just as a reminder, that 2 of our, our intermediate school and our middle school currently are on semesters. Our elementary follows a trimester schedule. So the proposal would be for all district schools that would move to this in the 27-28 school year. But without further ado, I just want to, first of all, thank Alicia and the team. They have worked tirelessly on this, not just from the ground roots, but really looking at schools across the state, schools across the conference and county, and considering many, many different variables. None of this was taken lightly, obviously, but they have spent countless hours working on all the ins and outs and trying to base a lot of their information off, factual information as opposed to emotional, but really are here today, and Alicia is going to present to us today. So I'm going to ask if she would mind joining us up here, and she's going to go through her presentation for you today.
Thank you. Thanks to the board for allowing me to speak tonight. And I want to acknowledge we have several members here tonight of our schedule task force at the high school, as well as members of WCTA and both our administrative leadership and teacher leaders. So I wanted to thank them for being here, and thank you so much for your dedication to this. I know anytime you present change, no matter what, change is hard. Even if it's the right thing, even if you know things for certain, change is hard. And so it has been very important that we do this together collaboratively and to hear input from all of our stakeholders and really make this a process. It was very important to all of us and very important to me that this wasn't just a decision that we made. We didn't just go into a room and say, okay, we've got to make the decision. Are we staying trimesters or are we moving semesters? No, we really went through an intentional process to make sure that we could hear all voices and that we researched to say, okay, what is best? So I'll take you through a little bit of that process now and how we arrived where we are tonight. I'll also highlight for you that there are still decisions yet to be made. And so the process isn't fully over yet, so we will stay committed to that process. So this was the charge. We've really been talking about this quite some time. I know Dr. Hoover shared just the increase in student enrollment over the last several years. And so this has been an ongoing yearly conversation to really decide this. Never losing sight of our mission and vision, which is to ensure high levels of learning and growth for each and every student. We were charged with, let's take a deep dive. Now, we take a dive every year, but this was a deep dive, okay, into our current instructional schedule, which has been on trimesters, and assess how are we utilizing our staff and our building resources. Now, keep in mind, the student learning is always at the forefront, okay? But I also think it's very important that we're continuously asking ourselves, is this the best use of our staff resources, our building resources, our space? And those pieces probably those kind of led this process, okay? So I'll share what we had in mind. So how did we do this? First, we assembled what I mentioned earlier, the schedule task force. This was a group made up of teachers, counselors, administrators, and then also some non-certified staff. We collected feedback from a number of stakeholders, but we had a solid group of around 20 to 25 people that met regularly. Our task was to evaluate our current schedule, to research various models, and then facilitate continuous feedback and discussion with our stakeholders. So we came up with the 4 lenses in which we're going to research and look at this work. One is student learning, so really looking at our academic growth, engagement. Is this a decision that is in the best interest of student learning, which is our utmost mission? Also, we were taking a look at course selection opportunities. Would what we were going to recommend offer a variety of courses and align with the future goals and interests of our students? And then also, as I mentioned, we were looking at fiscal responsibility and efficiency in the building. And then lastly, I do think alignment is something that is important in looking at our partnerships as we look to collaborate with other schools in the district as well as in our surrounding conference and county. Alignment and logistical implications were there as well. So I think it's important to acknowledge this. I have been at Westfield Schools since 2007. And I came in as a teacher on the trimesters. Trimesters have been a part of our history for 28 years. And I do think it's important to acknowledge that it has been a model that has been very successful and has worked well for us. Stakeholders did share with us that they think of it very favorably. And so there's been a lot of celebrations. And it's hard sometimes to attribute, okay, this happened because of trimesters and so forth. But it has been a model that has worked well when you look at our student learning and achievement and course selection opportunities. So I do think it is important to acknowledge that. However, you see that bar graph there. We already made reference to it. If you look at just that growing student population and looking at the projection next year of being over 3,200, really our landscape has changed. We saw before this presentation all of the construction projects taking place, okay? And so anytime we have significant growth and significant change, it's important to ask, is this model still meeting the needs of our students, our staff, in our community? And I think what we learned and what we're proposing as a task force is we do need to change. We have come to that tipping point, and we are ready to embark on change. So our recommendation that we want to bring to you tonight is to align K-12 schools in our district and better prepare our WHS students to be life ready. While maximizing our resources and campus facilities, we are proposing moving from a trimester system to a semester daily instructional schedule that would start with the 27-28 school year. So some of the implications of that recommendation: one advantage to this, and something that will be an impact right away, is to unify the district and our partner schedules. So as CTE continues to really take a lead with our new diploma, and also just as we build our CTE programming, we do share some of our students. We have open seat programs, at our school as well as in the Pursuit Institute. So many of our students actually would go to other conference and county schools. They come to us. So this alignment would allow for a smoother transition there. That's one way to be in alignment, as well as just aligning our district as a whole. Also, I think this is an important piece of this, is we believe this is a very fiscally responsible decision. So this schedule will allow us to operate more efficiently. And just to kind of get into that piece a little bit more, as we looked at our numbers and at our staffing and really tried to figure out what would some of the fiscal savings look like, we projected it to be about $500,000 a year in savings to move to a semester schedule versus our trimester. And so I'll talk a little bit more about that later. But then also when you look at our space, we're a growing school, as you know, that's why we have all the construction projects. And so by moving to a semester schedule, it will actually utilize less rooms at a given time. So as we build a master schedule, we're able to do a few things. We are able to maximize the space in our building, and we're also able to take a closer look at class sizes, which I think is really important if we're valuing that instructional time and student learning in the classroom. Over the last few years, as we've grown bigger and we have built that trimester schedule and tried to find spaces for all of that, we have found it harder and harder to be able to balance our class sizes and find spaces for all of our classes. And I think, as a part of our research, what came out was really there are very few schools in the country on the trimester. It has worked well for us, so I don't want to take any of that away. But there are very few schools on the trimester, and the ones that are on the trimester are much smaller than ours. You will not find a large school our size that's operating on the trimester for those reasons that I just shared. So there's also some other advantages in addition to those, to the semester schedule. One thing that we're excited about, as we embrace the possibility of change, is the idea of continuous learning. So more of a year-round approach. With the trimesters, it's possible to have some pretty significant gaps. In the sense that students, for the most part, for our on-level courses, will take 2 trimesters of a course out of the year. So if you look at a math class, for example, if a student were to have their math class first and second trimester of one year, they might not have math again till second and third trimester of that next year. So, although many favorable things were shared by our staff, many have said, we do end up doing a significant amount of review to account for that, and there can be some gaps. So the idea of that continuous learning throughout the year, we've also talked about the possibilities, and we'll explore more of the idea of students possibly staying with a teacher more in some of our core areas so that we can really track their growth. It's very difficult on a trimester to be able to keep students with a consistent teacher. It's much more possible with the master schedule build that leans towards semesters. So that's something else that we've spoken about. I think the idea of balanced terms, we've talked about that, is an advantage of a semester schedule. And then what I already spoke about is maximizing our staff and classroom spaces. We will be able to do that more easily. Okay, so a lot of people have asked this, the idea of the amount of credit. So one of the advantages to a trimester schedule has been that students have had the opportunity to earn 15 credits in a school year, whereas a semester schedule is 14 typically. So we've wrestled with that. That is also the reason that a trimester schedule is more expensive to run and takes more spaces up in the building. It's because of that 15th credit. So we really did wrestle with this for a while, and we talked to a lot, as a part of our process, we spoke to a lot of our neighbor schools, our conference schools. We talked to our neighbors. We spoke with teachers in other districts, students, and things like that to really talk through this. And I wanted to share that I do think, first of all, with the 14 a year at the high school, we are confident that students will still have an opportunity to take many, many courses and elective courses in their area. And in fact, with the new diploma, there's actually a few more less required credits, and they are actually encouraging students and families to explore personalized electives and have more in their schedule, more choice in their schedule. So I think that will kind of balance this out. But then in addition to that, as a part of the new accountability model, which encourages some credits to be earned at the middle school level, we talked about the aspect that all students will have a minimum of 4 high school credits at the middle school level before they come into their freshman year. So there are the 4 credits right there that we're talking about going from the 15 to 14. Now we realize that our current freshmen and sophomores will not have that 4 credit opportunity. So we are working really hard right now to provide ample summer opportunities, offering many of our required courses over the summer. So students, if they chose to and there was a course they really wanted to get into their schedule, they'd be able to do some of their, in our in-house summer program, we'll offer many of those credits throughout the summer. So this, I believe, to my core. So changing a schedule, changing to semesters, our mission will not waver. Okay, this is not going to impact our mission to ensure that high levels of learning and growth for each student. We truly believe in our task force, in our investigation, in our interviews, in everything we've talked about as a group. We know the schedule does not determine our success. What does? That collective teacher efficacy, these staff members behind me, that commitment that teachers make to not let students opt out, but to take all of our students and to come alongside them, to connect them, to value them, and to provide the utmost quality education. So we are determined to prepare students for that day after graduation. This does not change that at all. So while there may be aspects of the trimester schedule we'll miss, certainly we will. Anytime you change something, you're going to miss some things. We are ready to embrace and leverage the advantages of a semester schedule as well. And although we have not determined what that schedule is, we've started to explore, some possibilities, and we've gotten excited about some of the prospects of lengthening our instructional class periods to really build in more with small group instruction. We've been talking a lot about at our school and diving into professional development in terms of relearning opportunities for students and strengthening our Tier 1 instruction, which really to do that, you're allowing students to be in that application and that production phase of learning. So we're really excited about the opportunity to explore those opportunities to give students more small group breakout application opportunities, along with the fact that we are exploring different instructional schedules that will really play into the increase in work-based learning opportunities for our students. So that is a big part of our new diploma, is really encouraging all students to have that 75 hours of work-based learning. And this is, when you talk about life preparedness, I love the idea of students getting to go out into the work field and to explore those areas of passion and interest. And then there are possibilities with the schedule we choose that we could give students some longer blocks of time to really devote to that work. So we are starting, like I said, this has been a process, but we are excited about the possibilities. So what are our next steps right now? We are going to continue to learn. The learning never stops. We are currently collecting feedback from students and parents as well as staff members to determine some more pieces to that instructional schedule. We still need to put that together. So that we still need to look at. So we're going to have more discussion, collect more feedback, and really try to come up with what is the optimal schedule for our students. And then once we've arrived at that, we will continue to communicate those details. And then what's really important, and I think this is what really makes us feel assured, is this is not going to be enacted immediately. So this change would not happen until the 27-28 school year, which means we have all next year to really, really equip, train, and prepare our staff with professional development, with using our collaborative team time to adapt some different pieces with our curriculum and our pacing, as well as our instructional strategies, and then also time to message appropriately to our students and parents. With that, I just wanted to thank you again for the opportunity to present and for the opportunity to go through the process. Anytime you go through an intensive process like this, you learn and you grow and you come together as a team, and I think there's so much value to that. So I appreciate the strategy that you've allowed us to utilize in going through this with the schedule task force. Any questions?
I don't have a question. I do, I just want to, for the people who may be watching, CTE is Career and Technical Education.
Yes.
Right, that sometimes we say that. I think that was the only one that we had that maybe we needed to explain. And I just want to express appreciation for a couple things I noticed as you shared is that your acknowledgement that it's the teachers in the classroom that are the difference, right? So no matter how we group time, no matter what resources we use at the end of the day, it's our teachers, and I never want anyone to give credit to something other than those who deserve it. And then to me, I just appreciate again, with all the things that were happening, that it always came back to being student-centered, right? Like you talked about a lot of things, but you came back to the mission, you came back to the impact on students and the importance of that. And even in conversations that I've had, that it always came back to that. So I appreciate that. That, I think, says what our district is about, but also what Westfield High School is about. So that to me is just something I wanted to acknowledge and thank you and the staff for.
Thank you.
Sure, I just want to also add, I think Principal Dennison and all of us would agree that when this task force originated, I don't think we would say that this would have been the recommendation. We didn't know what the recommendation would be. They learned a lot as this process started, because quite honestly, all we knew was the trimester at that time. So this was, obviously the changes and the recommendations weren't taken lightly. And also just the fact that 27-28, our new middle school will be opening as well. So it's an added bonus of a nice transition as well for the district to have all of our schools operating under that same model. So
we do have, I don't know if there's questions, and there is some of the task force provided some feedback. I think we should share, obviously, their time, and they put that into that. But if there are any questions, I'd rather have those asked before we share that. Well, if there,
In the scheduling task force, one of the things that we spent a lot of time discussing was how what might work well for one school or set of students is not necessarily the answer for every school or every set of students. And while trimesters have served us well for a lot of years, it just became time to look at some other options. We spent hours and hours having conversations, doing research, asking questions, seeking out what stakeholders might want to know. And really, this is where we've landed, that we think this will be the best move for our Shamrocks.
To be good stewards of our resources, this is the best case scenario for our school and our district. We have done our due diligence throughout the entire time over the past almost 2 years to make sure that this is the right choice for our school moving forward.
So going to semesters for Westfield High School would be a huge advantage for our teachers from the standpoint of you will have 90 minutes approximately more time in the classroom to go a lot deeper for that transfer, and rather than just the surface level learning, more manipulatives, more activities in the classroom. And what that's going to do is allow the students to learn more applicable and deeper on the Bloom's scale than what they probably did before. And sometimes, that's a huge blessing to have that extra time every day with students. The extended time to get to know them, build relationships, and ultimately set our kids up for success. The other thing that I will say is that it eliminates the gap going from trimester 1 to trimester 3. Some kids would have math or English possibly in trimester 1 and skip to trimester 3 and have that gap in between. With semesters, we would eliminate that gap, and so therefore we have continuous learning, and we eliminate those sort of stoppages for those students.
Hi, yeah, at first I was not fully on board for the change because I love trimesters. But once we did some research and started digging in with the sizes of classes and the size of the building, it made more sense to have longer classes with longer passing periods.
As a school counselor, I wanted to be a part of the scheduling task force so that I could have input in terms of how we work with other schools for students to transfer in and out of Westfield High School. Also, I wanted to have input in terms of what best prepares students for the day after high school as they're getting ready for college, or how they can use their experience and their time here to prepare them for a career.
As a teacher, as a parent in this district with some boys coming up into the high school very soon, I was really wanting us to focus on just our growth. We have grown exponentially. Not only are we a leader in our education at the state level, at the national level, we've been recognized. I wanted us to acknowledge that growth. We have a diverse population that is growing, both with just their cognitive skills, with their physical skills, with just all these backgrounds. And I wanted all those voices to be heard. as we grow and we make these very positive changes that are just going to acknowledge all our students. The new schedule will allow us to better align with local businesses, more job training, getting our students ready to be life ready.
One of the things that I would want our stakeholders to know is just how thorough of a process we went through as a scheduling task force. As a team, we had a wide variety of educators from across the building that brought different experiences, different backgrounds, and expertise so that we really could consider all of the different variables that are impacted by a schedule and really keeping at the forefront our mission of ensuring high levels of learning and growth for all of our students to make sure that we are continuing to provide the best classroom experiences for our students at Westfield High School.
Hi, I'm Kurt Frederick, one of the assistant principals here at Westfield High School. I really enjoyed the opportunity to work alongside my colleagues here at Westfield High School through the Schedule Task Force over the past year. Learned a lot about hundreds, if not thousands, of schedules that exist across the country, if not the world, and some of the research-based practices that we know really lead to success in students in terms of academics, their behavior, their attendance. And there are a few things at the trimester schedule. It's been in place for 28 years, but we found that a lot of those stops with the trimesters, our first and third trimester having really high marks, but then second trimester seeing a dip. It's a very uneven schedule at times with the number of days that we allow for our students. So while it's not a panacea, but moving to a semester will align us not only as a district, but also throughout some of our partnerships with other schools and allow us really, I think, to connect better with them to find out what does work best for students. Again, there aren't any really large schools across the country that have a trimester schedule, and for good reason. I learned through the process all that goes into the master schedule build, so that was really revealing and enlightening. So it was, I think, important for us to see that, hey, we might have some opportunity here to do something that's really going to benefit student learning. And again, it's a new charge and opportunity. We have an unbelievably talented staff here, and I know that we have adaptable students. And for me, one of the reasons I got involved is because I wanted to learn and feel assured that we were making a strong decision, again, that would really be in the best interest of students. I oversee student activities, so I know that our students will continue to thrive in that regard. Work closely with our English department, so I know that they'll love having students for a full year versus having a gap potentially for a trimester or even over the course of a year. And I also work with our multilingual learners, and I want to make sure that they have the supports that they need and be able to pick the brains of some of our local high-performing school districts. So again, really excited that we got to the point where we're at, and looking forward to the next chapter.
You guys have, I just want to make sure were there any other questions from any of the board members, Mrs. President?
Yeah, do a
Yeah,
motion.
typically we would go into a motion and then have that for discussion, but if there's any other items that you want us to consider
Nope,
for making the motion?
At this time, the Westfield High School Scheduling Task Force, as well as the Westfield Administration, would recommend all schools switch to a semester academic calendar beginning with the 27-28 school year. And we'd like to make a motion to approve an academic calendar that is structured as 2 semesters for all schools in the district beginning with the 27-28 school year.
Thank you, Dr. Hoover. At this time, I'll entertain a motion to approve an academic calendar that is structured as semesters for all schools in the district, beginning with the 2027-2028 school year as presented. Thank you, Carrie. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Bill. It's been moved and seconded to approve the academic calendar structured as semesters for all schools in the district, beginning with the 27-28 school year. Is there any discussion or questions? Anybody want to start?
I mean, I'll just say, I was not on board with this the first time I heard it, having been a huge lover of the trimester system, and but I mean, that was just my initial reaction. But honestly, putting on my teacher hat, putting on my counselor hat, having built the master schedule myself for, I don't know, whatever, 15 years or so, it does make sense. I mean, the balancing, the students coming in and out of our school, transferring in, transferring out, the partnerships for CCE, a lot of that, quite honestly, was was a nightmare. So not for us necessarily, for the students, trying to match up with those schedules, coming in and auditing classes for weeks because they couldn't earn credits because their semester didn't match up with ours. Just a lot, so many variables. So yeah, definitely a proponent of it now.
Thank you, Carrie. Anybody else? Bill?
I will say change is scary to me. But then I remember, as Dr. Atha mentioned, that we are as highly rated a school district as we are because of our people, not because of our schedule. So I want to thank the team for putting all of this together and working so hard on it. And so I'll support whatever they come up with.
Yeah, I agree. The work and presentation was wonderful. A lot of teachers reached out and got feedback, both good and bad, but after seeing all the sides, it does make sense, and change is hard. And so we have all the right people on the bus to make this change, I think.
Okay, unlike Carrie, I was actually excited when I first heard this, because as a parent, I was confused when my kids went from one to the other. The time and energy and effort that the committee put in was incredible. I'm not privy to all the information, some of it in summary fashion. I would like to see some of the dog and cat diagrams that you had, though, referenced early on. That kind of struck my interest. The information that, you know, the committee went through various, it would have been so, I wish, in hindsight, I wish from just a feedback loop perspective, we could have had more updates throughout the process. And just one segment of the agenda that, you know, I spent a good part of my Saturday reading through, where you broke off into groups, and each group, one had to defend the trimester, and other groups had to defend different versions of a semester. And I think that just from sitting in the seat, and you know, the onus is on us to direct policy, not necessarily how, but this is a district policy that will impact everybody. So not that every vote we take isn't important, but this one, you know, you realize it will impact our entire district, and you certainly want to get it right. And it would have been very helpful to have heard that maybe in real time or in a recap. So I think as we move into the next chapter, I guess part of my comment related to this decision is that we can elevate that level of interaction and maybe not leave, you know, us trying to digest hours and days, months, you know, years literally that you put into that we're trying to distill down and, you know, get a handle on in a matter of a few days. So, but having said that, obviously the depth of the, you know, the learning, investigation, what will work best for students was obviously in the work, and it's very, very much appreciated. I know that's a lot of hours from a lot of folks. And then just also the acknowledgement that we are growing, we're not going to stop growing, and we've got to embrace our reality and make the best of it. And I do think that this recommendation sets us on that path. So. All right. Any other discussion? All right, hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say nay.
Nay.
All right, motion passes 4-1.
One thing I want to thank, I've had conversation here with Alicia and Eric, and I very much appreciate that conversation. Had conversations with my neighbor. Very much appreciate that, and I'm trying to do my due diligence here and do my homework. I've talked to a couple guys tonight that I will be reaching out, you know, first of the week. They try to set up a meeting to talk to them guys. You guys have done a great job. Lance talked about doing this for the last 2 years. We've known about it for a week and a half, trying to digest it. I've lost a little bit of weight just because my stomach ain't big enough to digest it, I guess. I don't know. But I want to do my due diligence and do what's best for you guys and everything else. But always know I do have your back, and I will support going forward, whatever happens here and everything else. So I don't want to take away from what you've done. I just want to understand how we got there and all the other things. So thank you.
All right, yeah, thank you. All right, that concludes the business items on our agenda, and now we move to board member and superintendent success stories. And I think Dr. Atha has going to start us off.
Yeah, absolutely. So I want to acknowledge our high school gymnastics team. Yeah, I think they won the sectionals for the first time in team history last weekend. And then our Illumination Show Choir won another grand championship this past weekend at Glenwood High School. So congratulations. They had best vocals and best choreography, and so they're having a great season. So just want to acknowledge those two. And I do want to give a shout out. John Moore and Carla Laberman are here. They have to be here. Now they're also supporting the high school because they teach, but they're actually taking graduate classes that require them to be here. So we'll sign the note. We'll sign the note for them so they don't get an F. And so welcome to them, and good luck in their graduate work.
I tend to give an update on the Westfield Education Foundation, so I have a long list, y'all. So the Westfield Education is celebrating 40 years, so you're going to see a lot of festivities. We'll be joining teacher meetings on Wednesdays with some cake, so be on the lookout for us to stop by. We just hosted Top Golf and raised just under $100,000 that goes back to teachers and students. And then we did the teacher appreciation event last Friday at Bull 32, and I heard nothing but amazing feedback. Everyone had a blast. I was unfortunately out of town, but pictures were phenomenal, and congrats to Maple Glen for winning the bowling competition. And then if you're out and about and you're hungry and you want to eat at Arby's, they are rounding up and giving back to the foundation, so I encourage you to do that. And then lastly, our supply hub, which is available to all teachers to support teachers and students, has given out 370 plus donations, totaling about $17,000. So teachers don't have to go out and purchase things with their own money. They can use the supply hub, and if you don't know what the supply hub is and you want more information, come find me. And I think that scholarships for seniors in high school close April 1st. So parents listening, get your seniors to fill out the scholarships.
I've actually got one. I usually don't, but I know, surprise here. But last month at the Indiana Association of College Admission Counselors meeting, which is high school and college admission counselors, Lonnie Johnston from our high school was awarded a really prestigious award, for Dorothy Cheeseman Award. Having known Lonnie and worked with her, I mean, from day one, she is so into college admissions and learning more about colleges and sharing that information with our students. She goes, every time she takes a family vacation, I think she finds a college or two around where they're going and takes time to go visit the campus and learn more about it. So just a wealth of information for our students. Very well deserved among the thousands of high school counselors in Indiana.
I was going to mention that Amber and I got to work with the FFA kids, so we hope to prepare them for their competitions. So that was a lot of fun. I think that's it, yeah.
I just want to thank everybody. Chris, Greg, I don't think I had a chance to thank you for the gift and the card. The prayers and the thoughts that have gone out. For those who don't know, my mom passed away Sunday morning. So I just want to say thank you.
All right, thanks everybody for sharing prayers with your family, Mike. Okay, our next regular board meeting will be in this room on April 21st, which is after spring break, at 6:30 p.m. And that is why it is also then a week later than normal because of the spring break. So be sure to change your calendar, April 21st, 6:30. Meeting adjourned.